So you'll notice here that it's very quiet. This is a sound element that you should be thinking about. Why is the film starting in this way? What is it setting up? And notice what happens in a few moments where we have the sounds of the street, those ambient noises, and then following with the music. What sort of mood, what sort of tone is being established, and does this contrast with what happens next? Think about the very first shot we see, what is being communicated here. Really quick cuts there, almost like pun really with regards to that knife being sharpened. What's significant about that? Maybe try and pause that shot with the knife and try and I noticed we have that fluctuation of sound that I was describing before, and we have this sort of speeding up of this knife being sharpened, and you've got this sort of the knife here, and this is a sharpening stone here, but in the background we have the evidence of the chicken that's being slaughtered a few minutes ago, and that chicken becomes quite an important prop within this with this sequence, almost becoming a character in its own right. And I think about how these cuts here are being used to sort of communicate themes about the place, themes about kind of where we are, who we see. We're seeing adults playing music. It kind of links back to perhaps the view of Brazil that we've seen in previous cinema. Brazil often is presented as being a place of carnival, place of fun, place of partying, street food, barbecues, that kind of stuff. And so this is perhaps playing into that traditional westernized view of it. At the same time, it's being juxtaposed with these images of these chickens being prepared for slaughter. So we're getting this contrast in place here, but it's sort of working together. The mood is jovial. The mood is really good. Now think about this chicken here. We've been shown this regular motif of this chicken here, and obviously this shot particularly places it in fairly sort of central frame. So this almost becomes a character, like I said before a second ago. And notice how the editing choices almost makes us project a kind of an emotion or a narrative onto this particular chicken. If you think back to the lessons we've had previously on the Kuleshov effect, where we're shown that just by the editing choices, we create a story. That technique is being used by Morales here. We are being sort of we're being sort of shown or created a version of what's happening to this chicken just by the editing choices as well. Notice that cut there. We have the shot of the chicken being sliced, and then we have that cut back to the chicken. This one here, quick cut back to that. And if you think about what we're now projecting onto the face of this chicken, it's fear, isn't it? And it's concern because this chicken thinks it's next. In reality, the shooting of this probably happened on two different occasions or two different time periods. So the chicken probably is not reacting to what we've just seen, but that is being created through their editing choice. Now notice what we have here, that camera is pulled out and then zoomed into this here, this little bit of string or small rope that's being keeping that chicken tethered to the building, if you like. It becomes quite an important symbolic prop here. So have a think about what's conveyed regarding this string here, and then what happens to it. Think about like the faces we see, the adults that we're seeing, really happy, jovial, happy. Now notice what happens here. Right, that music completely cuts out there, almost signifying like an end to a particular section of that sequence. Although it isn't, it continues and moves into this second section here. But it's almost like the film will become that vignette, that chapter sequence or chapter structure of it. Think now about how the next section of this sequence is different. We have a few moments of quiet where we have the chicken looking to escape. Then we have that introduction of Little Z, and think carefully about how Little Z is presented, the choice of shots that are used to present him. They also want you to think about the use of the children and how they have been conveyed, but also the actual city of God, the place, the setting. What impression do we get of this place, and how is that being conveyed through the cinematography? Now, this is our first shot of Lil Z, and look at what he's doing. He's trying to, go after that chicken, and bear in mind, as previously, we have perhaps born out of an alignment. We kind of like the chicken. Lil Z is now setting himself up as an aggressor against chicken, which perhaps almost influences our opinion about him. Now, look at these shots here, the camera movement, the camera shot, the way that things are being conveyed. The way that city and that first shot of those children escaping from their confines are being presented, that's a symbolic key idea that I want you to think about as well. We've got Little Z. Think about the shots that we've got here to convey him. I'll just draw attention to something here, and I'll just take the sound down somewhat, and you'll notice here that cut there. Do you notice there was a little cut that was presenting Little Z? I'll just play it one time. There, it's a different type of cut. Try and think about what is being used there. Think about the face that we have presented with Little Z here. Got lots of frantic camera movement, lots of unidentified children, low angle shots, point of view shots moving through this place. Do you get any sense of this maze-like structure of this favela? Arguably, this is where we were originally, actually. This could be the location of this party that we've seen. But our focus now has been drawn to these children that have been running away. Now, in a moment, we're going to meet Rocket. And just think about kind of how his presentation, it contrasts that with Little Z. So I'll just take it back a second and just want you to focus now upon the use of camera movement, the use of sound, and how his character kind of conveys different points and ideas too. So we've got a much smoother camera. He is presented certainly as that main character here, center of the frame, pretty much. He is presented as somewhat very different. You got in the background here the sort of signpost of where we are. This is a national habitat, so there's a degree of government sort of imposed building, kind of keeping everybody together, and look at what people are communicating with it. That's not a sign of respect. That's a sign of graffiti and disarray. We then cut back to Little Z, and again, he's still after that chicken. We get an impression of kind of him as a character, that initiation of violence that's being created, that shot of the guns now that are being pulled out, this elevation of violence. Furthermore, with these unidentified children that are now pretty much like shooting at us. Think about the lighting that was in that previous shot here. Again, we're going to have a change of sound. And now it's the police that almost runs over that chicken. Again, think symbolically about why that choice has been made. So we've had like shots of Little Z with the gun. We've now got shots of the police coming into the favela that's got placed here. So we've got maybe the suggestion that this film is going to be about justice versus criminality, perhaps. But we've also got the suggestion that this film is about Rocket and Lil Z. And certainly, if you look at the way the next two shots, or the next couple of shots are used, it sets us up to think that this film is going to be placing these two characters kind of as opposites. We might describe them as binary opposites, and that does or does not play out in the rest of the film. But think about the techniques that are used presented here, Little Z here, which then contrasts with Rocket. Cut back to Little Z, kind of, so you've got that suggestion that this film is going to be placing these two characters as oppositions to one another. But actually, in reality, what we have in the background are the police officers, are the cops. So now this shot here, the construction and framing of this shot becomes actually more symbolic. It's not that this film is going to be placing the Rocket and Little Z as opposites to one another, but what it does is this places Rocket literally in the middle. So that's maybe something to think about in terms of the framing and the mise-en-scène choices as well. And perhaps again, look at the way that this chicken is being kind of placed in the same sort of space as Rocket. So perhaps anything that we maybe felt towards the chicken earlier in this sequence, we now possibly can kind of link it directly to Rocket. Look at the way the camera is
Uma
used here.
fotografia
So this
podia mudar
camera
minha vida.
movement,
Mas na cidade de Deus, se correr o bicho pega,
and then think about the
e se
sound that's
ficar o bicho
conveyed
come.
here.
E sempre foi assim, desde que eu era
And that
criança.
transition, that dissolve into this new sequence here, we've got that surprise almost place here that actually, oh, are we in a different place? The suggestion of this shot is actually where Rocket is standing here is exactly the same place as the way he's being shot or the way he was standing previously in the 60s. So you've got that contrast of aesthetics, the contrast in the color scheme already taking place here. So we're being introduced to kind of the fact that color and sound and character is being used to convey different ideas as well. So what I'd like you then just to do is make sure you've got this A3 sheet completed as fully as you possibly can. Please just don't just come in with 1 or 2 points here and expect other people to fill in the gaps. It's really your ideas, your close analysis, which is really going to propel your answer forward, because ultimately it's your individual interpretation that is going to achieve those high marks. As always, if there's anything you need some help with, please feel free to come and let me know well ahead of the lesson. I'll do my best to kind of give you some pointers and ideas, and I hope this video has been helpful to you. If you like these videos, please let me know, because it gives me the sort of incentive to create some more. All right, best of luck with your work today, and I shall see you very soon, and I look forward to hearing your ideas. All right, bye-bye.